This week on the Push Follows podcast, we want justice for Isabel. And we talk about, have you actually been doing cardio? Three, two, one. Justice for Isabel.
Hey guys, welcome to the Push Pull Legs podcast with myself, Darmeek.
Me, Tom Hall. It's kind of
You didn't like the fact, did you, that I run a tight ship here in Casa Meek?
You do, don't you? You do run a tight ship, unfortunately.
Just using it as an example, you know, like delayed gratification and all that. It's an important lesson people need to learn. None more so than with fucking dieting, to be fair. But
I liked the analogy, but I actually brought up the analogy to my client this morning as well. Because she came back from Italy. She was there for about 3 weeks, and then obviously had packed on the pounds because she was absolutely smashing some gelato throughout the day. And then I was like, oh yeah, my friend who is a coach. Dan has never been my coach, just been out there. And just because look at me now. As the reason you can tell, right? I was just like, interesting about adults that they can't be told off, and you can have your ice cream at 11 and then 2 and then 5 and then after dinner. She was like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it just came about because I just think it's like when the sun comes out, people just forget everything about what they want, and then they weeks later go, I don't know, I'm not seeing any progress. I'm like, I know why. It's because every time the sun comes out, you think alcohol at 11 o'clock, or like, is it too early to have a drink yet? It's too early to have. It's hot though, isn't it? It's too early to have a drink, and it's that whole rude not to. Well, is it though?
Yeah.
Just because I was just drinking Diet Coke and I was all right. It's just. I think because I wrote an email about it, and it was like, people always say, oh, it's just one day though. It's just a nice day though, isn't it? Yeah, it's a nice day, but I don't see the need to have to drink so many calories in celebration for it. Like, and in the email I said, yeah, it was just, it's just one day. And I was like, yeah, but last weekend it was the, European Cup final. So that was just one day. Then the one before that was, it was this quarterfinals. That was just one day. Do and it's like, there's so many just one days that actually it's every weekend really, isn't it? It is actually, because they use that excuse of that it's just one day. And, it's that whole thing of like, well, what do you want? Do you want that now the most, or do you want something else that's going to require you to actually fucking forego that further down the line? And it's trying to remember that. And I think people forget their goals and all that sort of shit as soon as the fucking sun comes out for some reason. Bonkers. And I use the analogy that, again, with Isabel, I say to her, look, you can have an ice cream a day. It's fine. But if you have it at 11 o'clock now, you can't have it later on at 6. So don't cry about it. She has it at 11 o'clock and then she cries about it later. I'm like, you learn a lesson here. Do you know what I mean? Like delayed gratification. And it's the same thing. People do the same thing with weight loss, Can I have that burger and chips and the Prosecco and everything else? Can I? Yeah, you can, but don't cry about it in 3 weeks when you're not losing weight and you're not where you want to be. It's simple. I don't mind people making that choice. Like I said that in email, it's like, I'm not judging anyone's choices. I'm just judging the fact you moan about it in 3 weeks' time. Don't come to me and moan. Like I'll just, because I'll have a right go at you. Like it's the moaning bit. It's like, don't moan about shit when you're not put the work in. So yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not the same with a 5-year-old. You have to kind of be a bit more delicate. Can't just be like, well, deal with it.
Suck it up as well. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Did you pay for
People
it?
People got short memories, haven't they?
Even worse.
People got short memories though, they've got really short memories. They just forget. Oh yeah, last weekend it was the European Cup final. Oh, yeah, I did drink 10 beers and I did have a barbecue. Yeah, I forgot about that.
What would be the stipulation that she would be allowed two ice creams? Would she have to do something good?
If I manipulate her behavior in some way and she behaves. But I try really hard not to reward behavior or punish, or likewise punish behavior with food, because it's just it shouldn't be used. But then at the same time, it's more like, well, I don't know. It's that fine line, isn't it? Because you don't want to create that good bad relationship with food, things like that. But I take things like her iPod off her if she's naughty and stuff like that, so she knows it's not about food all the time. But if she was left to her own devices, she would just eat ice cream all day because she's a child. And like, it amazes me how many adults are the same. They would just drink prosecco all day if left to their own devices, and it's like, I just don't understand.
it sounds like your significant other, if I'm honest. If left to her own devices, she would.
Yeah, she would. Ham sandwiches and wine. You're right. That's it. But
that's about it. All right, mate. We hot, right? Every single time it's hot in England, we just
I think we need to explain that it's hot. Don't we? Do we need to tell? Yeah, I think we need to explain it's hot in case everyone listening hasn't worked it out yet.
Hasn't worked that out. It's pretty hot, and like it's just been hot like for a while. Unbearably hot. London's a different heat.
Well, yeah, London's just that. It's just because it's such like surrounded by just that big, I suppose, gas layer, isn't it? Like just fumes and shit.
And it's just like a degree hotter than anywhere else, basically in the country at all times.
Yeah.
Because of all the radioactiveness that we have in us.
I've seen all the hacks. Have you seen all the hacks? I've seen people put in their hot water bottles in the freezer. I've seen people put in their, I say hot water bottles, water bottle in the freezer. And I've seen one recently where there's the water and the ice cubes in front of the fan. People doing that.
Okay, to try and make the air cold. That work?
I don't know if because the water evaporates up out of the tub and then the fan blows the evaporated like droplets on shit. I don't know. I bet droplets has been said more in the last 18 months than ever before. Droplets.
I mean, you can work a little bit harder and buy yourself a nice Dyson cooling fan.
You could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really bad when it's hot for sleeping, but I've not been too bad this time. It's definitely worse during the day than at night for me. I've not been too bad.
I just hated it. I've been okay during it. Yeah, I feel like I'm just tired from working most of the time, so I'm gonna crash out pretty rapidly. I'm a good sleeper, let's say, and then it does depend on whether I'm laptop based working or PT based working. I'm surprised I'm still awake, mate. If I'm honest, I was contemplating a little nap pre talking to you, but I didn't. Actually, a little training session. I had about eight clients today. I still have to PT. Weird, isn't it? But I enjoy it. That's why I'm still doing it a little bit. And then I was like, I should go home, chill out, and then just have a little bit of Tom time. But no, I had a little bit of Tom time, and I worked out. I did a Dan Meek special on the old assault bike.
I was about to say not a lot then.
Dan Meek special was 2 pizzas.
Like I can't even finish one pizza, mate. Never mind 2.
That actually, like I ordered pizza the other day, and we only ordered like a medium or a small. And I was like, what's happened to me? I was like, I've actually taken, because I was just like, we don't need that much food. I only want like 2 slices. That's all I need. Like, that's it.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Times,
it was good. I did a little assault bike thing. It was lovely. We'll talk about that in a bit. So I've written that on the thing to talk about. Right. So I've got a protein bar.
I haven't.
Wow. Never seen a man so depressed. I've only got one because one of my clients brought me one today. And you know what he did also, because Mr. Ali Moani is back in town. He's been basically, this is one of my clients that he was going back to Kuwait to help his dad with just to go back into real estate in Kuwait. So clean up his gold Lamborghinis. But he went back, I think last January, in 2020 January, and was like, "Oh, I'll see you in April." Like, he was there for a few months, and then he never returned until last week.
Hell.
It's insane, right? So he's been away for 18, 19 months, and his flat's just been sitting there. He was like, "Yeah, I had to get a cleaner in my flat the first day because it was just nobody's been in it, like at all for that long. It's just dust everywhere, and he had to like do his thing." But he also came in and trained today in a push pull legs t-shirt, a little merch. I was like, "Whoa,
impressive,
beautiful! What a beautiful sight." I should have brought one for every client, shouldn't I? Really. All right. But he gave me this.
I've seen them. Protein pancakes. Yeah.
The protein pancake by NanoSups? Or this A thing. I don't know what that is. The A with the like umlauty stuff on top. So he says they're really good, and he does enjoy food. Like enjoy food. So the immediate thing we didn't like when we booked a time to see each other, like on the first couple of days he was back. You'd think, you know, like get into a training session. No, we went for pizza. Went for pizza. We're like, we'll train next week. It's fine. Yeah, mate. So I'm gonna have a little dive into this. But have you got any bars that you're wanting to try?
No, I really haven't. I mean, they look decent. To be fair, I wouldn't mind trying one of them. They do look like an actual pancake.
It does look like a pancake.
Which is saying something,
it's
isn't it?
Definitely like two pancakes molded together with whatever is inside. So macros wise, 142 calories. Pretty good.
Okay.
For 16 grams of protein. That's really good, actually, isn't it?
That's not too bad. I was expecting like 12.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit lower. So 14 grams of carbs, 16 proteins.
I wonder how much it was, though, because you'd need two of those, really.
You need two of them, yeah. So protein pancakes with chocolate filling. Lovely job.
I bet it's dry. Betting number one, it's dry. Very dry. And I'm betting that number two, the chocolate isn't like sweet enough. What are we saying? No, he doesn't look too unimpressed.
No, it's actually quite good.
No, he says it's good. There you go.
It's actually quite good. I would quite like it is chocolatey. It tastes like a soft, like doughy kind of pancake with chocolate inside. Oh. It's obviously slightly drier than a pancake, but it's actually reasonably
What proteins
moist.
You got in it? What protein source?
Whey protein. Normal. Wow. Which is weird, yeah. They got Vola Active Ultra Whey in 80 Instant. I don't know what that is. But yeah, it's actually okay.
It's weird that it's okay, because I'm surprised that no one's tried to do it and copy. Do you know? Like usually when something's good like that, people jump on it.
Like obviously the protein cookies, whatever, that was the first one we ever tried, right? Wasn't great. So it says free range egg in big bold things on it. Good. Handy. That's always a good thing. Never seen that like put on there so hard. So yeah, nice. NanoSups, I believe. I'm not too sure what the branding is, if I'm truly honest.
I've seen the packaging before. I've seen it before.
I mean, the packaging, like the font and stuff, is the same font that Bear Bells use. So that's easily confused. And it's a very Bear Bells-y kind of make, isn't it?
It looks a bit like Swedish, doesn't it?
Yeah. So NanoSups. So they're all right. I recommend. I'll finish that off. I will finish it, which is not always of some of the protein bars we've recently tried. So
no, absolutely not. They go straight in the bin.
They were literally like Chloe's like, "Are you going to eat these?" I was like, "No." Literally had the bite and then jog on. My teeth are tender. My teeth are important to me. So yeah, nice, mate. All right. So
I wonder if they do different flavors. I'm pretty sure I've seen a custard flavor.
There's got to be a custard flavor. Surely.
I'm just thinking now. I think I have seen. That's the one I think I've seen. I'm going to look up now. NanoSups. Protein pancake. There we go. Q8. Is he looked for him when he's been away? It came up on there.
Oh, really?
Protein pick and mix do them, so they've got to be decent then. I might have to have a little look.
There we go.
So they do chocolate caramel. They do caramel. They do cookies and cream. They do double chocolate, vanilla, peach. Oof.
Ooh.
Blueberry. They do a blueberry one. Oh, mate, they've got like a selection box on protein pick and mix. Maybe we should like, and they got loads of 5 stars. Maybe we should kind of get one of each and do it all on.
Yeah, we'll do them all. I mean,
I don't know about the peach one though.
We've got to try it. I mean,
do we?
Yeah. You can't just. We're about a proper review, mate. Otherwise, all the shit bars we've had are for Yeah, nothing.
All right. Well, I'm going to get one of each, I reckon. Just
I'll get one of each.
Add it to the bag.
You can send me a link, and then I'll do the same. Lovely. Right. I briefly wanted to talk about that. I'm not contractually obliged to talk about this, but I went to a thing on Friday, didn't I, Dan? But I did text you straight after I left because I thought it was funny. I'm not around these people very often.
Oh, your influencer thing, you mean?
Yeah. It was interesting. So obviously, so a chap called one of the Orton brothers, old Steve Orton, the founder, creator, with him and his brother and maybe one other, of Body Power. I think people have heard of that. Who listens to this show?
It's not a thing anymore, right? Is it not a thing anymore?
I think it still is a thing. It still is a thing, but it might not be as big a thing, or it might be a questionable thing. But I don't know. I'm not too sure. But it's interesting to see what's happening. But basically, he invited myself, Luke. We brought Darren from My Protein because we needed a company that was going to spend lots of money, we could partner with. we're like, My Protein would do great here. They'd be really good. Yeah, you really should do something. We were like, yep. Obviously, Luke and Mr. Orton go way back, and they're good buddies. So Luke's like, yeah, I seem to speak at all your events, and I have no idea what I'm doing, where I'm going. I literally just look at when I'm speaking, then leave. Luke hates Body Power. He's just like, I'm out. See you later. Got kids to go and see. I want to go watch my son play football, not get an autograph off this juiced man. So fair play.
Yeah,
I can't blame him at all. So and the other chap that invited us, who I didn't know, is a guy called Justin. I can't remember his second name, but he is the creator of Taste, which is the thing I went to the day before. Taste of London, and there's like Taste of Paris. It's like a big, massive like food festival. So they have combined with about 3 other people, and they are doing something. So you can check out the website. I believe it is live. This event is going ahead. It's something called Perform X. And basically they pitched it. They kind of have a little look around what it's going to be. They kind of, I think we were, I don't know, there was 20 of us in the room at that time. And then I think they did another couple with some other people. So you can go have a look at the website, see if you're interested. I think it's like the middle of March next year at Tobacco Dock. We can bring Dan along. Dan will be there, maybe. Mike, maybe not. He prefers Body Power, doesn't he? So I think it's like a trade. Yeah. I think it'll be more of an industry people's show, but it's in a really cool venue at Tobacco Dock. So I think probably as it gets going, we'll release more things on what it's going to happen. But I'm pretty sure me and Luke could be there in some capacity, speaking, paneling, saying hello, more than anything else. Getting free stuff, or probably not. Only because it's not far away from where we live. So that's probably good. So that's
easy.
Fun. Yeah, easy, mate. Be lovely. So yeah, go check it out if you want to. But it was quite nice. But I thought what was more funny is there were obviously industry people like myself and Luke who, let's say, we aren't big. We haven't got big social media followings, but maybe the followings we do have kind of action upon what we say and kind of quite good to us and that kind of thing. And there was a lot of people. So there's the lad who runs like a lot of the stuff for SimSpa. There's some other people who like from Turf Games, all that kind of stuff, like industry kind of business owners and stuff. And there were some influencers there, which I just fair play. They were lovely people. It just takes. I don't know. I don't know, Dan. I feel like you spend more time. I don't know. I don't think you do. I just assume all the influencers would meet up and kind of do things together, but obviously they don't. I feel like you would have just been as kind of laughing through it as I was. So I was just like, I don't really understand what's happening. So it was just one of the phrases obviously got me was, it's actually a phrase that Daniel used when he first started coaching, and it was cutting through the bullshit of the industry. And no offense to Dan, because he definitely used it as a younger coach, I would say, and you probably don't use it anymore. I've not seen you use that phrase. No, because you realise like there's bullshit, but it's probably not going to talk about it. And by saying that, are you the bullshit kind of thing? That's all that was going in through my head. Like every single time this phrase was said, and I was like, you're cutting through the bullshit of the industry by adding to it. I don't know.
I think people say it because it's become popular to say it.
Yeah,
I think that's the. It's like there's loads of things, I suppose, but the problem with that sort of stuff is it'll never really work, because to attract people you have to then have influencers and all this sort of shit, because they've got big followings and all this sort of thing, right?
Yeah, which is fair enough. And they seem to be doing the right thing. They seem to be doing. I had a little look, and I was like, I don't know who you are. I'm really sorry. They'd heard of the PT Collective, which was nice.
The other thing just on that, though, I think is bullshit means different things to different people. Because we're a bit more educated, we probably know what that is to us. To other people, they think cutting through the bullshit is, for example, not selling detox teas. That's not really cutting through the bullshit. If you then just say to someone, hey, make sure you go keto though. It's like, well, no, that's bullshit as well. Like, you know, it's layers to it, isn't there? And I think that I agree with you though. Like, you can't say that if you're not actually cutting through the bullshit.
I don't know. Obviously trying, but it just seemed, obviously they're done pretty well. And I think lockdown did them quite well. They seemed lovely people. It would just be interesting to see, as I feel like it was like talking to someone who is like 2 years in the industry kind of thing. Still raw, and we're like old chaps in the industry now, really, if we're truly honest. We're getting there. Old moany fuckers who end up teaching people and just been like, just do this for fuck's sake and go away.
But get really simple. There's no reason to complicate it. Stop being annoying.
Stop it. Fitness is really simple. Like, why are we trying to do you'd think that, but then you do my PT core course and you'd be like, fuck me. Because some of the programming, I'm like, I've gone deep, Daniel. But I do nerd out on that, so I was like, But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was fun, but it was interesting because they were doing a podcast with James Smith the day after. I was like, oh, I've done a podcast with him. I was like, yeah, way back when, before he was a multi-millionaire or whatever it is. So I was like, yeah, interesting chap, really interesting chap. Bless him. I'm not sure we could afford his fee if he wanted to come back, if we wanted him back on. But... No,
I've been watching I've been watching him and Darren recently. I follow them and I watch a lot of their content.
Darren, I like him.
Look, I think they're both very, very good. I think there's no doubt about it. They're both very good at what they do. They've been pushing their like business talker recently. They've been like, oh, I'm doing a business talk about how to help PTs get a better business and all this sort of stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, like they've been successful, I think, with their PT. Like, I know James Smith was very successful with it and got full and all these sorts of things. But I can't help but think people like that who've got amazing like personalities, for people to think that because all people do is just end up trying to copy them, and they just make videos like them. And it's like, that's not what they mean when they sort of say, I can help you with your business stuff. And I think it's like, I'm on his email list and he talks about email marketing a lot. I would go about it a slightly different way to what he does, but he basically sends an email every single day to tell you to sign up to the academy, like pretty much. And not everyone's going to have that ability. Like if you've got a list of 100 people, you're going to piss them off pretty quick. And you're going to lose subscribers because people just, you're just being sold to all the time and stuff. And I get it. Again, if you know what you're doing with these sorts of things, but the whole point of email marketing is that you effectively create a deeper bond with people. You just, as you would do normal content, you give value, you provide stories and all these sorts of things, and you help people. Whereas his are a bit more just like, he does the odd quote and the other thing that actually is useful, but it's always wormed in with a, hey, sign up for the academy. And then every so often you'll just get a standard email that just says, hey, come on, sign up for the academy. It's about time you did, didn't you? It's like, that's it. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just think sometimes it's interesting to see.
I mean, why haven't you signed
up? They're going to say, well, yeah, it's fucking baffling, isn't it? Who knows why? But I just find I do find it interesting, because I do see a lot of what they do, and I kind of get, I think I get the point behind certain things, but I think some PTs just will go there and think that they'll just try and copy them and how they do things, and it's like that's what's working now for them, not what they did back then. It'd be interesting to see if on those talks they talk about what they did back when, rather than what they do now, and whether it would differ or not. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that'd be great. I mean, they're speaking at IFS, that's what they keep pushing. Is James Smith is he involved with IFS? He's like, is his thing. He's involved. I'm pretty sure he's like.
I don't know. Yeah, he's been all over it as well. And we were talking to obviously Mr. Orton about all this stuff, and I think he dabbled with possibly getting James at this new thing. I think he still might, but he's also Orton was just like, there's a big thing of being everywhere, then you're kind of suddenly nowhere. Because you are everywhere. So you you lose the value of drawing people in because you've literally spoke to everything in the last 2 years, which he might end up probably doing, right? So he might speak at nearly every single event, which would be great for him, but it might be a case of a little bit too much, maybe. Not too sure. I'm sure his bank balance won't say so, but in the short term, hopefully in the long term, but we're out. So he was just saying we would rather sporadic. It's probably like why Download and V Festival don't book the same headliners every 2 years. You're like, oh, they did well, but we probably want them to like come back in 5-6 years would be preferably. Otherwise, probably they're not going to come. But it's an interesting one. I was like, didn't really think about that. I was like, I'm not his audience anyway. I don't follow the chat.
Oh, no, that's the thing, yeah.
It increasingly annoyed me. I still get spammed on it on my search page and stuff like that. So, but yeah, there's some personalities in the industry that just, they bug me. So I'm just like, guess what? There's an unfollow thing for a reason. So absolutely fine.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, like that's how he's built his whole business, right? He doesn't care if people don't follow him and all this sort of stuff, and he's polarizing and like all that sort of stuff's good.
I'd rather if it was like just Alima just doing loads of stuff. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
He's giggle. I still don't know what he does. Does he PT? Does he? I don't really understand.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think he does. He's written up. He appears in adverts and stuff, doesn't he? He's like a stunt actor, I think, for people. Okay. I don't know.
Fair enough. I don't know. He's funny. That's all I know. All right, mate. I think we got just a couple of topics because you sent me a video of the weighted foam roller that Dan wants to buy.
Honestly, like just when you think foam rolling is fucking useless. So like
foam rolling is fine. I will stick up for foam rolling for 2 to 3 minutes at the start of a session just to be prepared. That's it.
Always be prepared.
Magical. It's not doing anything magical.
Anyway, so basically, foam rolling, right? Whatever. Instead of you rolling on the foam roller, better idea. Add some weight to the foam roller and let the foam roller roll on top of you. Basically, this guy had a 60 kilo foam roller, weighted foam roller, and was sitting down rolling it on his quads, and he was like, "Oh wow, this is amazing! This is getting deeper than anything I've ever felt before." That's a lie. And basically just was like, and I'm like, surely by using the foam roller correctly on the quads, you're probably if you weigh around 80 kilos, I'm guessing putting maybe 60 kilos ish through that muscle as it is. I was just like, oh my God. Certainly if you go single leg, you could get more probably. And I'm like, it's just a gimmick for gimmick's sake. I'm sorry. Like I just like, tell you what you need to do, right? Get a barbell, put 220 kilos on the side of it, raise yourself up a little bit and roll it easier. Don't get it. I'm sorry. I just don't get. Oh, I do get it. It's a fucking product to sell. People will fall for it. Simple.
Also, like, so it's to do with like downward pressure, right? And pushing a force. Obviously, he's not pushing any force on it because we did like a thing at Third Space during an education session because we were reading research on foam rolling, and it was like it got to a point of eliciting over 30-40 kilos of pressure, then something happened or blah, blah. So we put like a person on a scale, and then I got a foam roller, like reset the scale to 0 and press down, until I reached 30 kilos and started rolling. Guess what? Full grown man, trainer, 30-year-old, started fucking screaming, because that's a lot of pressure for me to be pushing down into your quad. Guess what? Don't like it at all. Don't really like it. Probably can't do it. So it's an interesting theory. So it's the case of downward pressure against kind of just like normal, just sitting on top. It's a weird thing. Oh, yeah. There's a different. People are like, "What is that different?" Yeah, downward pressure over just kind of grabby, just sitting there and it being stationary is a weird thing. I'm not too sure why, but definitely is different because it hurt. But yeah, I'm gonna buy you one, Dan. When's your birthday?
Mate, I won't be able to lift it up. It's pointless.
Basically, yeah. Also, I want to talk about, because I did a little Q&A as I was going through, because I was walking about so much. 25,000. I've been sitting down talking to you. Almost 24,000 steps today, just because basically my gym got flooded again, that I PT out of. So I'm using the Soho facility for a little bit, which is lovely. But getting steps backwards and forwards. And then one of the questions was about cardio. I feel like we've probably covered over this topic, and it's probably something you vaguely talk about with your clients. I don't know. I'd be interested to see whether your opinion's changed since you've started training, I guess, more metabolic-y conditioning-y, whether you still, in terms of dieting down, because there's obviously, I think there's two schools of thought for using cardio as a tool and then doing cardio as a mechanism to get better at kind of performance and your lifting and stuff. And I think that side of it doesn't get talked about that much, whereas the kind of cardio as a tool to get your weight down is. And obviously you as a kind of prep weight loss coach, you've done prep before. We'll call you a prep coach. Fuck it. Yeah. What's your opinion, Daniel?
I think if you're going to do cardio for the benefits of doing cardio, you should do it alongside eating as much food as possible, like in order to get the benefit of doing so you can push yourself to the limit and force physiological adaptations, etc., etc. Because if you try and use cardio to lose weight, your performance will rapidly decrease, because it's usually alongside a calorie deficit, and it is literally in there just to expend calories. That's the sole purpose of doing it. There is no benefit of doing it at, in my opinion anyway. You're not going to get any physiological benefit. You're not going to be a fitter person because you did a bit of HIIT versus extra long, like hour walk or whatever in a deficit, because you're not going to be able to get yourself to the point at which your physiology will fail. It'll be literally, you'll just run out of fuel and you'll just feel like shit and you won't want to do it. You won't have the fucking motivation to want to do anything like that. And I think when it comes to dieting or when it comes to losing body fat, for me personally, I like people to do the minimum that's needed, both in terms of the gym, in terms of cardio, because they are more fatiguing and taxing on the body, both physically, mentally. I'd rather get out and do steps. If I, again, like we touched on this, me and Mike have differing views on this. When we were at the photo shoot, the clients were all talking about how much cardio they were on and all this sort of stuff. And my clients were on minimal amounts of cardio. Mike's were on quite a lot of cardio, but then his clients were eating more food than mine. And like, it's just that personal preference thing. And for me, I would much rather just eat less and not have to go and do an hour of cardio fucking every day of the week. Some people wouldn't, they don't care or whatever. And for me, it's more a case of like, I would rather someone just forego a bit of food and not have to put themselves through the mental torture of getting on a cardio machine, driving to a gym, going to a gym, getting back, whatever it is. I think that time is not, sounds stupid, precious, but like that extra hour could be spent doing other things than just getting sweaty on a treadmill. If like at the moment, like again with the training that I'm doing, I think it would be much harder for me to do it and enjoy it if I was in a deficit than if I was eating enough food. Part of the reason that you enjoy it is because you can push yourself and you feel yourself getting fitter and all those sorts of things. But for me, that's only going to happen if you're in a good place with your calories, etc., etc. Doesn't mean you can't be in a deficit. I just think it's just very slight, and I think you have to, recognize that and understand that, because I've definitely got leaner as I've been doing it, but that's not been the goal. The goal has been to be fitter and stronger and all those things alongside it. That's my personal opinion. the goal, if your goal is fat loss, your goal is fat loss. You don't, your goal isn't to improve cardiovascular fitness or strength or muscle mass. They're not the goals. You maintain those things, great, that's fine, but that's not the goal. The goal is the goal. And people seem to forget about people are very, very bad at making the goal. They want 3 goals. I'm like, no, pick one. We'll focus on the goal. If you get an extra bit of as a byproduct, great. Like for me, I just wanted to train hard and train well. I got a bit of recomp out of it. That's a nice byproduct, but that's not the goal. That's not the goal. People are really, really shit at that. They want to do everything all at once. And I'm like, pick one. You want muscle gain? You got muscle gain. Don't try and get loose fat at the same time. It's not going to happen. Like, that's not to say it doesn't happen. It does sometimes, but it's more because you've attacked the main goal and made that so fucking powerful. You've really made it the one thing you think about, that the other stuff's happened as a byproduct. Like, I've had clients recomp before where they've, got a bit leaner, but also gained muscle, because we can see it in the measurements, we can see it in pictures. But if I'd have said that the goal was to try and do both, they wouldn't mentally have been able to kind of attack one or the other. Whereas because we just went with one and I put them in a slight deficit and I said, right, you're going to make sure that you do this and this, they're the goals. It's amazing how quickly those things can change. That's my view of it.
Yeah, it's just an interesting one, because I think people have got I'm assuming, I would say, because obviously you've said there that like it'd be hard to do maybe the intervally based training in a deficit, and I truly wouldn't really know. Like, I feel like you do. I don't know. It's an interesting one as well, and we know. Well, running burns twice as many calories as walking in the same time frame. That's a pretty much. I think isn't it a 7 kph or 7 mile an hour run burns directly double, obviously dependent on person, blah 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 blah. Than a 4 mile an hour or 4 kilometer per hour walk. I believe that is pretty much exact, according to I think it's a person called Swain. If I remember the research correctly. There's a few researchers who do it. Obviously, Tabata is one of the biggest ones in terms of interval training against aerobic. Swain, and I think is a Canadian person. I can't remember. Did a big bit, but it was an interesting. Is most of Mike's people on kind of steady state, kind of long bouts? Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it'll be steady state.
Because this is the intro. I think I totally agree with you, because they're on deficit. I think you pick a low impact kind of. I'm guessing steady state is usually walking or just like cycling, right? It's not actually running, because that's going to be they probably haven't got the mindset to do it, right? So I don't even deem that as cardio, if I'm truly honest. Mm-hmm. That's just that's more activity, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. I
think that's an awful trait by the bodybuilding and weight loss community to call it cardio, because the essence of cardio would suggest that cardiovascular endurance would increase or get better and you'd probably get a better. So the overall goal, as we know as sports scientists, probably for cardio is to increase VO2 max, would it not? Would probably be the goal,
threshold.
Right? Lactate threshold. Yeah. So it's an interesting basis, because obviously I've had to do a bit of reading around this, and it's stuff that I've known, but I was just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, this is why I probably do it, and I've always had it ingrained into me. According to the research done, like those like Swain, Simon Melov, those kind of guys, what is it, Martin Gilbert? It was a case of interval training is better for aerobic training than aerobic training. Just let that flip in your head. Interval training was found to be better for people in terms of time constraints and produce the same results than normal steady state cardio and just going for a run for like half the time. Basically, you can do, let's say, like a 750 meter run, 5 bouts of 150 meters with like a work to rest ratio of like, it's normally depending on person, like working 1 to resting 2 to 3, depending on how long your bout is. So an extended period like of over 60 seconds, you're meant to be like 1 to 3 or 1 to 2. But it was found to be, it would increase the VO2 like max and lactate threshold by exactly the same as longer bouts of cardio training. And then it also increased more in terms of oxygen, like detention. It's something to do with oxygen respiration, I believe. Oxygen utilization, yeah. So it was an interesting thing, and I was just like, that's why I've always favoured, and obviously why we do that kind of crap, especially even with. Did you do a lot of it in football, like just like go for a run or not?
No,
we never did it. Yeah, it would be repeated sprint intervals, that kind of scrap, like little jog, sprint, little jog, sprint, little jog, sprint, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and there's a reason why that. If you want to get fitter, probably don't just go for a run.
The only time I think is applicable is more like Ironman type distances, and like
yes, I'm not saying there's not this is something that we've always said, right? The whole people who do like EMG studies, and that it was EMS. I got butchered with a thing. So electro something stimulation, where they're like, oh yeah, it's the same as running a marathon. Well, it's not, because you don't have the biomechanical tendon soft tissue benefits of running a marathon. You're not inducing load across joints, and that's a completely different like story, because in terms of steady state cardio and actual running, obviously there's muscular and kind of other adaptations that happen. Because this is the other flip side of the story. If you want more kind of recruitment and probably more exposure of your slow twitch muscle fiber, you're then have to do your long distance stuff, not the short distance intervals, because obviously probably is a reason why Dan prefers doing the basic HIIT kind of stuff compared to steady state and similar cardio, is that he gets to use all his powerful muscle and all that kind of muscle spindle, and you have like intermediary like muscle spindle and muscle fiber, which is going to go more towards characteristics of fast twitch and be used better. So that's a good way of doing it. But I thought it was an interesting fact. I think PTs should take that in. It was more of an annoyance of I think maybe one of the influencers talking about how much cardio they're doing whilst they're cutting, and so I was just like, you don't have to do that. I don't understand why. Stop calling it cardio. It's just steps. Just a little bit more walking. You don't have to do it in the gym, believe it or not. It's a lovely sunny day. Crack on. Yeah, and I was like, usually the point is VO2 max or lactate threshold. So, and there are better ways to do it. Yeah, and then it got me into a whole rabbit hole of people do interval training wrong. So yeah, and the work to rest ratios are baffling. People are convinced that resting should be less than work.
Oh, I know, but again, it comes back down to the whole
bonkers.
thing, isn't it? Of people want to. They just want to feel out of breath. People just want to feel out of breath.
Yeah, and I'm like, no. Rest should always be longer than work. Yeah. For you to train at the capacity you're meant to, and you to progress, rest should always be longer than work in high intensity interval training. Always.
It's like if you're doing strength training. If you're doing like 5 reps, you don't go, right, that took 20 seconds, so I'll take 20-second rest and go again. No, it's longer. Same thing, high intensity. It's like, no, take longer. Like, don't get me started on it.
Yeah. I'm like, you're not doing HIIT. You're doing steady state. Stop it. Yeah. Oh, well, that annoyed me. But hopefully that will enlighten some people on the fact of cardio training and what a waste of time they may have just had for most of their lives. But saying that, Dan, I wrote on the back end of this show, I wanted to check in on your training, check in on our training. Because one lovely influencer was like, just a follower. Everybody's an influencer in our own right, Dan. Was like, oh, thanks for knowledge. What's your goal at the moment?
Wow. Well, I've had a really bad back, so I've not really trained.
Have we both got injured at the same time? Because I've had a bad neck.
I hit my back. So I hit my back squatting, and it's only just got better now. Like it's 4 or 5 weeks or so. Again, nothing bad. I was just doing it's because I don't know if I'd said this before on here, probably have. But I drove basically a whole weekend, a 5-hour journey there and back in 2 or 3 days, and then didn't really stretch properly. Went and back squatted. And it was like in my warm-up set that he hurt. And I was like, brilliant, that's my own fault. But then also from hay fever, I've also pulled or strained an intercostal from sneezing too much. So that really hurts. Like I can't do like pull-ups and lat pull-downs because it really hurts.
Wow.
So not good. I'm just getting fucking old. I've decided I'm just getting real fucking old. It's annoying me that I can't do it. But also as well, like, it's funny, I'll be being completely honest. Even with a coach, I can feel my accountability slipping, my motivation slipping, even with a coach. Work's creeping back in again. It's like, oh, I just won't go on Monday because of this, and I won't go because of that. And like recently, it's stupid things, right? I'm just showing just to let you all know that I get it. Like, we're all human, right? So before, where our old house is right near my gym. And I used to have a car parking permit there for the year for when I lived there. And it ran out last week because I had a free permit. I could just park on the street, and parking in Bath's a fucking nightmare. So now I've got to pay £4.50 for 2 hours parking in Bath if I can find a spot. And it sounds stupid, but it's another barrier to be like, can't bother to go. And look, I get it. It happens and all that sort of stuff. I think because I've been injured as well, I haven't been able to do the full sessions. So my sessions have been scaled back a bit, which is not really motivating, doing leg extensions and hamstring curls instead of doing squats and all that sort of stuff. And I can't give everything I want in the sessions because I'm still a little bit banged up and injured. And so that takes away the enjoyment factor. Then you throw in, those are the barriers. And I can feel that it's not the accountability slipping. I know that it's there and I need to do it. But it's almost like I feel like I'm back to square one, and I feel like I'm starting all over again now. And it feels like I'm just fucking brilliant. That was like 8 weeks of training for nothing. And I know that's not the case. I know it's deep down, I know it, but it feels that way. And I'm lucky that my diet doesn't slip. I'm lucky that I eat to my activity levels. So when I start doing more activity, I get hungrier and I eat. But at the moment, I'm eating 2 meals a day and I'm cool because it's so fucking hot. Mainly, I just drink. But
Yeah.
it's just been interesting how I felt that, and I felt that those little excuses come in, and I feel that I have to really force myself to be like, that's stupid fucking thing to say just because it's the parking, and what if there's not a space, and it's just stupid. But then of course we've got the summer holidays coming up, and I'm seeing family and seeing people, and with Isabel, and it's like, again, it's just little things that crop up and life gets in the way, and like I know it's a bit of making excuses. I get that, and I have to pull my finger out my arse and be like, no, look, like, you've still got to make sure you do it. But it's funny how those things creep in once you start getting a little bit of injury or a little niggle here, or it's the sessions aren't as full on as they were, so it's like, It's just, we're all human. Like, we all need that kick up the arse every so often. But also, I also don't beat myself up too much when I'm injured, because I'm like, I'm fucking injured. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, and I've been there before. I tried to train through it and train around it, and it just makes it worse and makes it longer. And
it just makes it more painful, because exactly, like, I think I've had this exactly the same thing. Obviously, I went and saw Dougie a few times trying to get my neck kind of sorted out, because I went to one osteo and he found out what I did, and because I was like, I've already self-assessed in this. I think this is the issue. Blah blah blah. Can you do this? And he was like, oh. Okay. I was like, yeah, I probably said too much, but it's all fine. And then he didn't really give me a diagnostic. And I was like, literally the one thing I came to you for, so I know where to go. I was like, that's my ability. I cannot diagnose. I was like, and I'm not even going to try to, because I can only say it may be this. I just can't say it was certain. So I went and saw Doug, got a diagnostic on my neck, and I was just like, it's still kind of hurting now. This is like 6 weeks to 8 weeks in. Not good. Particularly crazy necked person. But yeah, I kind of took a back seat on my training whilst it was just recovered. And Doug was like, yeah, you're not allowed to do any forward head posture. It was like lots of fucking tuck in. And I was like, this is shit. And then hence why I did a lot of like spinal segmentation training. And that's just basic. That's as fancy words for saying I didn't move my cervical spine whilst I was moving my thoracic spine, basically, and segmenting those two spines. Something that not a lot of people obviously do, and that's something I didn't do obviously that much, and now I'm doing it a lot. I don't want to be. And also, he was like, there's people you make fun of who do neck training. I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. I was like, fuck off. I'm doing it in my own home.
Maybe stop taking a piss out of them so much.
Yeah, maybe you need to do it. And it was like, oh, great. But I do the same. I can adapt myself. Like, the neck is the one thing I feel like, especially the lower back, it's just like, it feels like it incapacitates you a little bit. And it's just like, I know my legs and my arms are fine, but you don't want that like lying down kind of, oh, this is awful. But I can sit there and do leg presses and leg extensions all day, but I just hate it. I just really want a session like that once in a while when I'm in the right environment, like a bodybuilding gym or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool. It's fine. I just don't get a buzz off it at all. So I was just like, but since I've been able to train a little bit more, because I'm nearing the end of all my filming. I've got one more day, Dan. One more day of filming. Then I'm done. I'm running away. No, and then I have to do my design stuff. But Luke, if you're listening, I will be running away because longest fucking thing in my life I've ever done. I put more work into this than my degrees. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but do you know what as well? Like, obviously on that though, it's also because you can see the direct like reward at the end potentially. Yeah. Like, I think there's that element to it where, like, again, like, I think part of it with the gym stuff is related to, again, I think we can go into this a little bit, is again, like work and life and all these sorts of things and your priorities and where it sits and all this sort of stuff. And I think we're quite fortunate in the sense that we're probably quite happy with our physiques to a certain extent. Like, I'm quite comfortable in a t-shirt. You know, I wouldn't be comfortable like whipping my top off in front of loads of people and being like, "Hey, I feel great." Like, but I feel comfortable enough to.
I don't think we were ever like that, even when we were lean.
Yeah, and even if I was lean, I don't exactly. And even if I was lean, I don't think I'd be that comfortable. But I think there's that element to it where it's like, I feel quite confident. Again, if I'm in a t-shirt, it kind of looks like I lift. You can kind of look like I'm in fitness, right? And all this sort of stuff, right? My chest sticks out of my belly and all these things, right? So I'm quite content. And I think that's the thing is, and again, with all these other like people you see, influencers and stuff with amazing physiques, they just don't have any real work on. Let's be honest, they don't. They just make their money elsewhere through, you know, easy adverts, modeling, whatever it is. I'd say that's not hard work for anyone else to get at me, but you know what I mean. Whereas I think when you're trying to juggle stuff like we are, and you, like you said, you've got 8 clients today, plus you've got videos to film and PT stuff, it unfortunately just falls to the back of the list because those things take priority. If I had a 9 to 5 and I was working for someone else, you can bet your bottom dollar I'd be in the gym more often than I am. 100%, because you find a way to make that work. Whereas at the moment for us, when you're self-employed, it's very easy to just be like, well, this work's there and it's done by this weekend. I can't justify really going to the gym 2 or 3 hours out of that day when there's this stuff that needs to be done. And I think that's the key thing there. And I think that, again, when you're younger, I see a lot of PTs, again, like my coach, Justin, he's younger, loves his training, lives for his training, but there'll come a point in 5 years, 8 years when it isn't all he lives for, because there'll be other priorities, there'll be other things going on. And I just think we have to remember that. I think that's where, again, a lot of my clients fall into a similar bracket, in that it's about understanding how much you're prepared to give and how much time you've got and all those things. So I think for us, like I said, realistically for me, 3 times a week is hard to fit that in. But before, when we were at Third Space, we trained 5-6 times a week, no problem. No problem. We just scheduled it in that diary and it was like, no, I'd rather train than see a client. Whereas now it's like, actually, we've got shit to do that's pretty important. And it's, you know, for the futures of our businesses, it's important. And I think that's the difference. Is it's about understanding with fitness, again, like individuals and their process, their journey and stuff. And again, it'd be different if we were both sat here 20 stone, not happy with our physiques and also not healthy and all these sorts of things. Like, we're quite fortunate that we've put the hard work in.
I'm not sure we'd be doing a health and fitness podcast. But...
yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, we've kind of almost put that effort in, where at a time when a lot of people would have just eaten and drunk and then got to maybe 30, 35 and felt like, oh shit, hang on, I need to get in shape because otherwise I'm not going to be healthy when I'm older. And
said that plenty. I'm like, they're like, oh, like so lucky. Like, I'm like, Hayes in the barn, I've lifted properly for 10 years. Like, yeah. It doesn't matter.
And also as well, in terms of motivation for us as well, like, we're never going to hit our old PBs. Like, we know we've been stronger. Do you know what I mean? You know, when you sit there and go, I know I've squatted 150 kilos. I ain't ever getting back there again. I got no desire to be honest, because I was like, it fucking hurt.
200 kilos down, grow up.
But you know, it's that whole thing of like, because I spoke to Justin about training, and he was like, oh, would you ever want any cleans and stuff in that? And I was like, yeah, I used to do it and all this sort of stuff. You know, I did 120 kilos when I was 80 kilos. Like, it's not a bad number. Like, and the same with snatch, like body weight. I just have no desire to get anywhere near those numbers again, because
I would literally, if somebody did that to me, I would literally be like, hang cleans, yes. Hang snatches, yes. I'm not doing full stuff. Hang stuff I'm fine with. I get that. I get it for power development. I get it. It's safe. I'll just be like full clean and all that bull. Nah, I'm all right. Even snatches, I'm like, do I really need to go overhead and risk hurting my neck? Do I?
No, exactly.
I mean, landmine's pretty good. So let's do that instead. It's interesting. But yeah, there we go. We're basically checking in our training, as we like to do every kind of couple of months, is we're both old farts who've hurt our backs, and we're always getting back into it, aren't we? But in all seriousness, I'm assuming since the start of the year, both, because we have been doing more kind of energy system development, both our kind of lactate and kind of aerobic capacity and work capacities are a lot better than they were. I noticed it today. So that little session that I did before I came today, which I literally just put a timer down. This is not something I do this from time to time, but I put a 30-minute timer down, and I literally did a kilometer on the assault bike, some bicep curls, some like French press, I think it's called, like the one where you squeeze there.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
I don't know if it's called French press, but not.
All right, French press. I only I heard somebody called that, but I also like French press is also a thing that you make coffee out of. So I'm like, and some kettlebell swings. I just went for half an hour. I was like,
yeah,
that was all right. Sweaty.
Yeah, it's like today. I did 1 kilometer intervals on the bike, and it's a bit sweaty and it's a bit hard. But I weirdly enjoy it a little.
Weirdly enjoy it. Yeah, I was like, at the start, I was like, I'll only do 20 minutes. I was like, fuck it. I've gone past 20 minutes now. Let's go.
Yeah, priorities just change a bit. And I think, goals change, priorities change and stuff. But I don't have any crazy, I'm not going to fucking go turn on and do the turf games or anything. Do you know what I mean? It's not happening. Just not bothered. I think it's that also competitive nature I've just lost. I don't give a fuck.
I think
someone's like, I can lift this. I'm slightly. Like, I don't care. Go lift it then.
I have it slightly, but only for like little things. Like it was really important for me on that, like, not important to me, on that stag do. With all those people, I was just like, I have to beat everybody at this assault course. I was like, don't care what you do, army guys or not.
Yeah, that's a bit different. That's not like, I don't mean like, I mean like in the gym like stuff. Like,
the gym stuff, I can give a shit.
If I was playing golf or something and I was like started playing golf again, I'd be like, okay, now I'm like fucking, I want to beat Tom, whatever. I'd be like that. Obviously, I mean more like in the gym and stuff. People are like, oh, so and so lifts this, or I want to be like my mate lifts this.
I'd be like, cool, good. I'm getting a beer. All right. Any other business?
Not from me.
No, nothing from me. Obviously, PTC. We've got a free course running right now. So if you want to find out a little bit about what we do, because I think one of the flaws of what we've decided, it's been one of the flaws of we haven't let really people know what the PT core is. Probably on this podcast, people know what it is, but apart from that, nobody really knows. But we are also, I think we've literally just been granted it, so which is quite interesting, Daniel, and I think a win for the fitness industry. So SimSpa, based off, I've written obviously all the learning objectives and everything for what they'll be learning throughout the PT core. So SimSpa are the guys that accredit the personal trainers. They have agreed that if you just do the PT core, you can be an insured personal trainer. Which is pretty cool. So all those online coaches, guess what? You don't have to go and do your level 2, level 3. You can get insurance and you can do the PT core instead and learn fucking better content. So yeah, which is why we're thinking about what direction the companies are going, considering we've managed to achieve that. So yeah, which is quite nice.
That's good.
It is good. Yeah, please. I'm not writing absolute horseshit, basically. So that's good. So yeah,
good to know, isn't it? Because I'd have guessed you were.
Yeah. Everybody's having a positive time so far. Lots of sign-ups, which is glad. All wonderful. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We will catch you next week.
See you later.